The first thing that attracted me to Mantis is people used to call me a bug-eyed freak too, so I kind of thought maybe we had something in common right there. And then when I started going into the game with her and figured out, hey, she's actually a ballin' little healer, can do some crazy deeps at the same time, and has some good CC in her kit, well, I got quite interested and stuck around. So today we're going to be diving into this character. I'll be giving you some tips on her base kit first, talking about things like the auto attacks, to the passive, to every single ability in there, and then at the end of the video we are going to finish it off talking about her ultimate a little bit, how you should be using it, when you should be using it, and the exact numbers on everything as we go throughout. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you do stick around. And hey, before we get too deep into the video, really quick, I want to say we're super close to 10,000 subscribers, which has been because you guys have been joining the channel at a crazy rate ever since I started making Marvel Rivals content. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe and help us get past that mile marker and beyond, I would really appreciate that. And although I'd love to keep sweet talking you guys and to give me some support, I think instead I'll try to give you a good video and actually give you a reason to give me that support. So let's start by talking about Mantis's life orbs. You're going to see in the middle of the screen there, and I'll even throw it in game so you can see these really quickly. We have these little leaves. Those are called life orbs. They actually regenerate just passively at a rate of 3 seconds per life orb. So every 3 seconds you get a life orb back. But that's not the only way to get them. You can also hit an auto attack crit. If you crit with your auto attacks, which, hey, if you're aiming like me, isn't going to happen too often, but sometimes it does, and it's very nice. You get a life orb immediately back. Good stuff right there. So if what I want to tell you right now is you have a good opportunity to throw your autos down something like a long corridor or whatnot, or right here you see I'm just throwing autos out in this gameplay. That's because I'm just looking to get my damage out, and if I happen to hit a crit at that same time, very good. Even better, it'll give me some actual life orbs back so I can keep spamming my heals, my self damage, and my teammate damage boost. I also want to mention now, don't get too aggressive trying to refill your life orbs. I understand you got a thicky dumpy, you want to put it in the enemy's face and shake it around like you're doing the Macarena, but you can't always get away with that, and if you get too aggressive sometimes trying to get those refills of life orbs off those crits, you're just going to end up getting yourself killed. So be careful, use your cover, and try to play smart so you don't just get yourself absolutely smacked on every time you want to get some life orbs back. Now, if you're someone like me who came off of someone like Luna Snow, then the first thing you're going to notice is these auto attacks are not hit scan. They do have some travel time on them. They are pretty fast traveling projectiles, but at the same time you need to remember that they are not hit scans, so you got to try to lead your shots a little bit. These will do 50 damage on hit, and they have no damage fall off is something I want to mention to you, so I'm going to throw it in game really quick. You can see on these Doom bots you can just keep hitting for max damage from any range. So if you're all the way across the map, that's why I'm telling you, chuck these autos down places where you know enemies are going to be running from. Even if you don't hit those crits, you'll be hitting max damage because it doesn't have damage fall off. So if you have no damage fall off on a character, really making sure you're using that so that you can throw from max ranges and get as much damage as possible. Now let's talk about passives. Obviously, as my dear viewer, I know your passive is too sexy not to get shouted out as such. I mean, dang, look at you today. You're looking good. That's not the point right now. The point is, Mantis has a really good passive, in my opinion, probably a perfect passive for a strategist. Now, what's it going to do? Well, let's talk about the first part. It's going to give you 8.5 meters per second extra movement speed when you're out of combat. Now, this is described as when you're not injured, but I'm going to throw it in game really quick so you can see. When you are injured, you will still get the actual movement speed bonus. All you need to do is leave combat for 3 seconds. That's how you actually get the extra movement speed on this passive. Well, anytime that you are out of combat for 3 seconds, your actual movement speed buff is going to re-proc on you. So just know, even if you are missing some health, as long as you get out of combat for 3 seconds, you do get that movement speed bonus back. If you're ever like, do I have my movement speed bonus? Look at your little cheeks. If you have like a white trail flying off of you, that means that you have your extra movement speed at that second. Now, coming up to the next part of the passive, it's actually able to heal you, and this is why I think it's also a perfect thing for a strategist, because being able to sustain yourself is just as important as sustaining your teammates, because if you can't stay alive, then they're not going to stay alive. So what kind of healing do we get out of this thing? Well, it's kind of like Luna Snow, where when we actually do use one of our life orbs, we're going to go ahead and heal ourselves. That's going to be a 12.5 heal over 8 seconds, right? So every second you get 12.5 health back. So at the end of those 8 seconds, you're going to heal yourself for 100 HP total. If you take into account 4 total life orbs, then that's 400 health you can get back to yourself just that easy in the snap of your fingers. You do need to keep in mind that, of course, that is a tick over time heal, so you're not going to get this massive spike heals like you do on Luna Snow, so you need to play a little more safer and use your cover a lot more smart so you can actually stay behind those covers and let those tick heals go up on you so you can keep yourself alive. To be honest with you, this passive is not something that you even really need to focus on most of the time. You're going to be throwing out all of your abilities so often that this passive is always going to be ticking on you. But if you want to be a little safer, you can always kind of save at least 1 life orb or 2 to make sure that if you get something like doved, then you have one to go ahead and regenerate yourself with and stay alive. We'll talk a little more about the strategy that you want to employ if you do get dove by something like an Iron Fist or a Spider-Man a little bit later on in this video, but for now, just keep in mind that this passive is extremely good. It's going to keep you alive a lot of the time, and you won't even have to give it too much thought. There's a big reason why Mantis is a 1-star difficulty character, and that's because, well, she's pretty easy without even thinking. I like to call her Mrs. Spam a lot, not because she sits there and eats 15 cans of spam a day, although, I mean, I guess if you're into that, then go off, good for you, but just because you can press all your buttons, you can just spam your buttons, and you could get a lot of efficacy out of it. If you just want to be someone who's just clicking and clicking, this is a character where you'll still probably be successful because just spamming, it puts a lot of good out there and it'll get you a lot of dubs. Now, if you were a combat medic on the front lines of World War II and all you did when somebody came to you with a broken leg was give them another pistol and say, "Get back out there, slugger," well, you wouldn't be a very good medic. And it's the same thing with Mantis. You need to use your heals or you're not going to be effective. So why don't we go ahead and talk about those heals? I'm going to hit you with some numbers here before we throw it in game and I show you how these heals work a little bit better. So the right click or whatever you're using for my controller goblins out there, again, I love you, my controller goblins. We're all peaceful here. I'm a keyboard and mouse orc and you are my controller goblins. But that heal is going to provide your actual target with 55 immediate chunk health. And then it's going to give them a ticking heal. That's going to tick for 8 seconds. You're going to realize 8 seconds is a reoccurring number on Mantis. Almost all of her abilities last for 8 seconds, including this ticking heal. That's going to heal them for 20 health per second, and that adds up to 160 health from just the tick. So altogether, with the chunk heal and the ticking heal, that's going to heal your target for 215 health. That's pretty darn solid right there when you think about it. Now, there is something I want to mention right here. Be careful not to spam the same target with a heal too much, because it's going to run through your life orbs, and reproccing the ability doesn't do much for you. It doesn't actually stack the duration of the healing to make it go longer, and it doesn't stack the heals either. So all it's going to be doing for you is reproccing the chunk heal. So I'm going to throw it in game and you can see all these numbers like I'm telling you right now, and you can see when I re-heal a target that already has my heal orb on them, what it's going to do is go ahead and re-give them that chunk heal of 55 health, but it's not going to do anything else besides reproc the duration of 8 seconds for the ticking heals. So you want to make sure you are spreading your heals out on the team. There is times where it's good to go ahead and throw 3 life orbs in a row on the same target if they're really in a bad spot and they're getting smacked around. But for the most part, you're going to want to spread that heal out on multiple different targets so that you're not wasting it and doing nothing but resetting the duration. Now, before we start talking about Mantis' sleep ability, I want to finish off talking about the healing ability by telling you guys to be careful of teammates that are stacking up on top of each other. If teammates are running right in front of each other, it's not like you have these piercing or tracking heals on Luna Snow or Cloak and Dagger. They go straight to the person that you're hovering over, and it's kind of finicky sometimes. So be careful of that. Kind of let your teammates know even sometimes, hey, I'm on Mantis. If I really want to heal you guys as effectively as possible, try your best to kind of stay on different paths from each other so that you're not exactly stacked up, because it's harder for me to heal you guys when you're not grouping apart a little bit. And if you tell them that, then hopefully they listen. But for the most part, this is something that you need to keep in mind, but understand that there's only so much you can do about it, because at the end of the day, if your teammates are going to position poorly when they're, frontlining or going in with damage and not helping you do what you need to do as the strategist, then that's only so much on you, to be completely honest. But at the same time, just keep in mind, people will yoink those heals if they run in front of each other, so you just try your best to make sure you're weaseling it right between them so you can get it on the correct target that you want it for. Now, while I would love to direct this conversation in the form of me sleeping with your mom, instead we should talk about Mantis' sleep, because it's a darn good ability. And I'm going to keep comparing her to Luna Snow in certain ways, and even earlier in this video, I told you guys, we're going to come back, we're going to talk about how to self-peel. Let's talk about that right now. Why am I talking about Luna Snow? Well, what do you do on Luna Snow when you're getting dove by an Iron Fist or a Spidey? You go ahead, you hit them with your freeze, and you try to land some nice crits and take them out. It's gonna be the same exact thing on Mantis. When you're getting dove, you put that sleep right at your feet, you knock out whoever is going on you, like you just slipped a little roofie in their drink, and then you take them out. Again, you do have a few seconds once this actually hits where you can go ahead and try to hit those crits, and especially on Mantis, that gives you those life orbs back. So hitting those crits is even more important than it might be on Luna Snow. So when they dive on you, put them to sleep and try to hit those crits as fast as you can and take them out. And just like I told you in that Luna Snow video, I'll put that on the end screen if you want to watch that one next, by the way, because I did do a tips and guide video for her as well. You want to go ahead and use your actual melees if you're out of auto attacks. In case there's ever a scenario where someone's jumping on you, you run out of ammo, you can just go ahead and start slicing them up. Mantis knows Kung Fu, dude. Like, she knows space Kung Fu, so you can just start beating the schmack out of people, I'm telling you right now. Now, I think for me, one of the parts that I really had to learn with Mantis was the actual aiming of her sleep ability. I'm going to throw it in game so I can show you guys this. What was really weird to me at first, especially coming from something like Luna Snow, where her freeze just goes straight forever, this has a bit of an arch, as you can see in the gameplay there. Now, that arch is something that is quite a higher skill in terms of using it on the fly for an enemy that might be up in the air or farther away from you. So what I'm going to recommend is you throw it straight down at your feet, because what you're going to notice is this actually has a sphere radius around it. I believe it's like a 3-meter sphere radius. So what that means is if anybody's running at you and they're right at your little tootsies, you can go ahead and throw your spear of sleeping right down on your dogs and just put them to sleep. That's the easiest way you're going to be able to do it. Aim it at the ground. Whenever you have something like Squirrel Girl's auto attacks, for instance, those things have a little AoE on them, right? So it's really easy to just aim them at the ground, let them roll along. It's the same thing here with the sleep. Just throw it at the ground when someone's right in front of you. That sphere radius is going to go up. They're going to get stuck inside of it and they're going to fall asleep for you to go ahead and grab their cheeks with consent. All right, make sure you keep that in mind. Just wanted to make sure I added that in there because I'm not trying to catch another lawsuit. Now, that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and move on to Mantis's self-damage boost. Now, this boost is going to be a 12% increase to your damage, which is pretty solid. I want to throw it in game really quick so you can see something on these actual Galactabots. I think I called them Doombots earlier, but they're Galactabots. Does it really matter? They're just little freaking robots. No, it doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, these guys, you can normally hit them with 2 heads and 1 body, and it's the same thing when you have this damage boost on, as you can see there. They still take the same amount of damage really to kill, and that's the thing with a lot of this ability. I feel like it's not super effective a lot of the times. I think when it's most effective is if you're hitting a big target like a tank, or if you're doing a bunch of body shots over time to a smaller target, then I think it'd be good. But the tanks especially, I think raising that damage by 12% is pretty effective because they just have so much health on them. So chipping them down over time with that extra 12% damage boost, yeah, that's something that matters in my opinion. So I think that's where it's the most useful. But for the most part, I don't think that you're going to be using this too much. And I'll actually tell you where I think you should be using this ability the most a little bit later on in the video. Now, this self-damage boost, when you do reproc it, it's just like her other abilities. Remember we said earlier, 8 seconds is like the magic number on Mantis. It's the same thing with the self-damage boost. It lasts 8 seconds, and if you pop it again, you use another life orb on it while that 8 seconds is going, it's just going to refresh the actual duration. It's not going to give you any more. It's not going to make you have a 24% damage boost. No, it's just going to refresh that actual 8-second duration. So please don't waste your actual life orbs on that. Like, just do it once and then you're good. Just don't waste it on that over and over. I mentioned when I want you to pop this actual damage boost, when I think it is most effective, at least, because of course this is all my opinions at the end of the day, but I think the best time you pop it is when somebody is actually diving you when you have them asleep, or just when you have them asleep in general. So kind of like earlier we talked about, use your sleep when somebody dives you. At the same time, that's going to start healing you from your passive, and then you can pop your self damage boost either before or after you put someone to sleep, because the duration of that is only a few seconds and they actually snap out of that sleep early if they get shot and whatnot. But your actual duration of self-damage, like we said, 8's the magic number, 3 is the magic number of times I banged your mom. Stop, sorry, I keep talking about that. But the point is, you get 8 seconds of that actual damage boost, so you can pop that before you put someone to sleep and keep it completely long enough to where once they're still getting put to sleep, you're still pushing that ability out, then you're still gonna have the damage boost. So that's really when you wanna pop that damage boost. You can pop, sleep, tear them up, or sleep, pop damage boost, and then tear them up. It's really up to you, and either way, keep in mind that you're going to get a lot of extra healing from your passive once you pop both those abilities. So it's just really good self-sustained tech right there. Good CC, good self-peel, just a lot of good stuff, and honestly, why I like this kit so much. Let's talk about inspiring our teammates. Now, I do that by pulling down my bands, which and then in turn makes them seem like they have really big splongers. So, I mean, that's how I do it, but Mantis does it by pressing E, a little bit easier for her. Now, if you do actually give this to somebody, it's going to give them a 12% boost to their damage, the same way that you do to yourself. And guess how many seconds that lasts? Guess how many? If you've been listening to me, then you know how it's 8 seconds. Good job, Johnny. I'm going to kiss you. Now, 8 seconds is a pretty good amount of time for your teammate to have 12% extra damage. And in my opinion, I like to use this damage boost as the same time I use a heal on a teammate, especially teammates that are about to go into combat. If you say a Star-Lord or an Iron Fist, for example, are two of my best ones that I like to do this on, then what you want to do is the perfect 1-2 combo. You put your heal on them, and then you put your damage boost on them. Because what's going to happen is they're going to go around a wall. They're going to get out of your line of sight because they're quicker than you. They're going to get on top of the enemies, and and they're going to go into a fight. But once they have that ticking heal from you and that extra damage from you, they're going to be way more likely to be able to easily succeed in that backline dive. So that's what you want to do. Give the people that are diving on your team that 1-2 punch of the heal and the damage boost at the same time. Let them go in, let them do their job. Very good stuff right there, and you get some easy assists, to be completely honest with you, because if your teammate has your damage boost on them and they go get a kill, then the game's like, yeah, that was you. That was you. Give him credit for that. And it's like, dope. Thank you very much. I look very good on the scoreboard right now. I'm not going to lie to you, Chief. Now, after that, you want to prioritize damage boosting ulting teammates. Look for teammates like, again, we just talked about Star-Lord. If you got a Star-Lord who's going up into the sky and he's going to get a freaking auto lock as his ultimate, give him a damage boost. There's really no reason not to. He's already going to be melting people. If you see a Punisher who gets on his turret, or just a Punisher in general, to be honest with you, which, hey, there's a Punisher in the gameplay right now, then what you want to do, and don't mind me whipping on him, look at the right side of the screen. I have bad internet. It's been terrible the past few days. Excuse me. But you want to go ahead, give those characters that are going with their ults, especially that damage boost, just so they can tear it up a little bit faster. Like that magic on the enemy team right there that just got her cheek hole slapped. Imagine if she had a damage boost, she would have got my teammate killed probably right there. So that's the kind of stuff you want to be prioritizing with that inspiration. You know how you get excited when you wake up every day and you realize it's a new day, I get to keep living? Yeah, me neither. But we can be excited because we are at the end of the tips for the base kit. And here's the last one I'm going to give you. Right side of your screen, I'm going to throw it in game, zoom in on this for you guys really quickly. There are little timers that show you how long, which again, it's 8 seconds. It's 8 seconds, Jimmy. I know I'm going to kiss you. It's 8 seconds, but it's always on the right side of your screen, so you can keep track of how long your teammate has your healing boost on them and how long they have your damage boost on them. Very, very useful stuff right there, so that you can keep that in your mind. It's kind of easy to see it just when they're right in front of you, but sometimes it's obfuscated because they're running behind a wall, like we said before. If you're putting those boosts on a Star-Lord that's running way away from you, then you're going to be like, uh-oh, wait, I can see on the right side of the screen, there we go, he has 3 seconds left of my buff. Maybe I'll start repositioning myself now so I can try to find a line of sight on that Star-Lord so I can reapply my heal to him right when it runs out, and then he could keep pushing, you know? Stuff like that. That's what you need to be kind of keeping in mind, and little timers like that in this game are very useful. Of course, you learn those times and those timers over time. You know, how many times can I say time? Freaking father time over here. I'm kidding. I don't have any kids legally. They can't claim me. I don't know. I'm not paying child support. But the point is, keep your eye on those timers. Very, 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 very useful tool for you to where you can just keep track of your teammates and when they're running out of those boosts. And just like that, you beautiful, beautiful dog, you made it to the ultimate tips. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's throw it in game. Very simple, just with timers. We were just talking about them, so let's start there. You can look on the screen right now. I'm going to make it bigger for you. There's an ult timer. Same thing as Luna Snow. Again, it's a big old area, and we're going to talk about specific numbers in a second, but very important. Keep your eyes on that actual timer in case you're having trouble understanding those actual timings. Numbers, 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 everybody loves them. I cannot count, but still, let's talk about them. Before I throw it in game and show you the actual ability going off, the actual ultimate going off, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you the numbers, and then we're gonna go in game and talk about them a little more as that actual ult plays out. So, what's the ult gonna do? Well, when it first pops, it's gonna heal you and everyone in the radius for a 200 HP chunk heal. Very good for desperate situations. We'll talk about actual gameplay usage of that a little more soon. Now, after that, your ult is going to heal you for 150 per tick. And how many seconds do you think that's going to last for? I will literally give you a big, juicy hug. That's right, a hug, if you tell me how many seconds correctly. Did you guess 8? Yeah, that's right. It's 8 seconds, you numbskull. I'm sorry, that was mean. Anyways, it's also going to give you 3 meters per second movement speed, so pretty good right there. And last but not least, it's going to convert some of your extra healing on full health targets to bonus health at a rate of 70%, up to 100 extra health. So you can get a little health shield right there. Very good. It builds up pretty slowly. Well, actually, it's 70% rate right there once you're actually full health. So pretty good stuff right there. Keeps you alive, a little bit of extra shield there to just put on top of you and tank some shots up. Really good stuff right there. So let's throw it in game, like I said before, and you can see these guys are going to start at low health. Right when I pop my ult, they got that 200 HP actual health chunk. Very good. After that, it started tick healing, tick healing, tick healing, and then you can see once you're full health, especially on my health bar right there, then that's when you go ahead and you get the little shield from it. So very good stuff right there. Obviously, I'm not running around, neither are the Galactabots, but if they were, they'd be zooming pretty good because they'd get the extra movement speed as well. So that's the numbers on the actual ultimate. You can see it in effect right there. Very solid stuff. Now to finish us off here, and we all love getting finished off, I'll do it for you later, we want to talk about how I like to actually use the ult. I mean, you can see in the gameplay right here, I like to use it quite aggressively. I have a pretty aggressive playstyle, which I know is something in my other videos that some people kind of disagree with, but I think that really comes down to you as a player. I get away with it because I know how to measure my aggression, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But for now, I want to talk about popping your ult, going in, and then what you're going to look for is a good sleep if you can, and then popping your own self damage boost on top of you so that you can try to take somebody out really quickly while you're getting all that healing, you're getting a damage boost, and you have them stuck still from your sleep. And then while you're doing that, you're obviously just giving the boost of your healing to all your teammates, and then popping your other right-click heals and damage boost from your E onto your teammates. I also want to mention, if you are ever in a very desperate situation where you and your teammates' health is really low, like we said, you get that 200 health boom chunk heal on top of you right when you pop the ult. So if you're in a bad situation, go ahead and just dunk that out. It gives a huge heal in a big old radius to you and all your teammates. It's a very good choice to just go ahead and throw that out in those desperate situations. Now, we said measuring aggression. What do I mean by that? Well, you need to know things like the timing of your ult, like we said before, so that you don't get stuck in a bad position. So right when your ult ends, you just get smacked. If you're not measuring your aggression well, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up in an unfavorable position, especially if you're not knowing how to position correctly. You're going to get stuck behind enemy lines too deep onto a point, for example, while some of your teammates might have got picked, and then right when you come out of that ult, well, guess what, honey? You're not quite invincible anymore, and you weren't in your ult, to be honest, but you're definitely not now, and you're going to get smacked down really quickly. So you need to be careful. Watch that timer, know that timing, learn that muscle memory so that you can back up and measure your aggression. So right when something like that ends, you can get out of combat, chill out, and make sure you can reposition and re-strategize on that fight to what you're going to do next with your teammates, depending on who's alive and what kind of picks you have. Now, there's nothing I love quite more than staring into your sultry little eyes and yapping away, but with those 25 tips done, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you learned something new, at least something cool, or you just like hearing me talk. Either way, I really appreciate it. If you have any tips of your own, I would really appreciate learning them. I love learning as much as I can about the characters I like playing, and even the ones that I don't, so please leave those in the comments section. I would love to have a little chat with you, or at the very least, have other people read your comments and me too, and learn something new, because that's what the game is all about, in my opinion. Again, I'd love to hear your guys' tips down in the comments below. And besides that, I just really want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Again, we're so close to 10,000 subscribers, and I want to get as far above that as we can, and with this Marvel Rivals content in the next year as we can really just feasibly go. So if you want to help out on that, I'd really appreciate having you around. I have 2 other Marvel Rivals tips/guide videos on a Cloak and Dagger and on Luna Snow. I'll put one of those on the end screen for you. Like I said, the Luna Snow video, you can go ahead and watch that next, learn something new there for yourself. And besides that, join my Discord server. I do have a Discord server. It's called The Aquarium. I have that link down in the top right and in the description on every single video if you want to come in there. If you want to just get to know me a little better, we can joke around, screw around, talk about Marvel Rivals or any other games you're playing, or just anything in general. I'd love to give a little chat to you. But that is going to do it for me today. So as always, have a great day.